Um, Wills's improvement and his incredible bravery and courage and kindness has made me a better person, a more patient person. Autism Speaks has shown me, and it's just what Matt said, that we're not alone. It's the first time that I really felt like I was part of a community, and I wasn't in my own little dinghy out there trying to figure it all out. There were people who understood. So I wrote a little something. I'm going to go ahead and read it, or I'll be talking all day. Last year was my first year to walk, and it was one of the very best days of my family's lives, and I'm not kidding. We called ourselves Team Cowboy because of Cowboy the dog, and we do have a little dog back there, a 1.5-year-old golden retriever that is Wills's therapy dog now. Cowboy, well, I'll explain it in my speech, but Cowboy was our other dog, our golden retriever. So we're Team Cowboy again this year. We were surrounded not only by close friends and family, but many of the teachers from my son's school, Frostig, came in support of Autism Speaks and all that you do for children. We were also embraced by many families we'd never met before the day of the walk, who, like us, were proud of the money we were raising for this incredible organization and proud to be wearing our autism hats and shirts and team shirts. When I discovered Autism Speaks, I discovered that I was, like I just said, in fact, not alone. I was happily surprised that there was a community with answers I didn't have, support when I couldn't offer it myself, and recognition of just how challenging and yet miraculous having an autistic child can be. I was part of a community of people who understood for the first time since Wills's diagnosis exactly how I felt. Besides being a mom, as you know, I'm an author, and Autism Speaks came into my family's life when I wrote the book Cowboy and Wills. And as I said, it's the story of my son Wills and his remarkable golden retriever, Cowboy. When Wills was 6 years old and struggling with autism in a mainstream school, we bought him a golden retriever puppy to soften the difficult transition, but she ended up changing everything for Wills, ultimately being the best gift we ever gave him. When Wills was diagnosed with autism at age 3, my husband Michael, who's in the back there, and I felt very alone. Sure, Wills had a terrific therapist, Catherine, who he had been seeing since he was 18 months old, but in every other way we felt very isolated and terribly frightened because we wanted to do the very best for our son. And we didn't know very much about it at all. We didn't have family around us. After all, Michael's family lived in New Jersey, 3,000 miles away, and my family, with the exception of my sister, was unsupportive. What our son needed was a let's surround Wills with smarts and experienced family, so we got busy. We relied on Catherine, the therapist, and also found other therapies and educators who knew more than we did about narrating Wills's feelings for him, so he wouldn't be standing alone in the world. We learned how much Wills needed repetition and structure in his daily life, so we began to put up scheduling boards and giant calendars on our family room wall. If there were changes in our schedule, we let Wills know as soon as possible, trying not to surprise him if we could help it. But in my heart, I knew we needed more. We needed animals. The day I got Wills's diagnosis, the two of us bought a 10-gallon aquarium. If he had a terrible day at preschool, and he often did, we swung by Petco for a pick-me-up, usually buying a hermit crab because they were small, colorfully painted, and cheap. But we also bought dumpy frogs, turtles, hamsters, rabbits, anything I could fill our house with, scaly or furry creatures that were more dependent but less scared than I was. And Wills, he loved every one of them. He spent hours thinking up clever names like Booner Schooner, the hamster, or Red Rat Dirt, the rat, and creating tiny homes out of cardboard boxes and plastic tubes. With Will struggling to make it in this new kindergarten, I needed something huge to extend our menagerie and to fortify my belief in all things good, something strong like a lion, but sadly, Sherman Oaks is not zoned for lions. So we bought something just as hairy, but twice as nice, a puppy, Cowboy. Cowboy Carol Lawrence, to be precise. And Wills was nothing if not precise, especially when it came to naming his puppy. So we clung to our adorable brown-eyed pup and tried to figure out how to help Wills. We bought books on golden retrievers and subscribed to Dog Fancy magazine. And because of Cowboy, we actually had some good news. Great news, in fact. Because the first time ever, thanks to this new little pup, Wills was sleeping in his own bed without the night terrors that had plagued him his entire life. He and Cowboy slept through the night, arm in paw. Wills also hated baths. I'm sure many of you can understand, and you have the same problem. He didn't like the feel of water or bubbles against his skin due to his sensory integration problems. But one afternoon, as he was suffering through yet another bath, Cowboy busted through the bathroom door like Clint Eastwood in High Plains Drifter and dove into the bathtub with him. I couldn't believe it. I was expecting screaming and mass hysteria and crying, and to my amazement and joy, Will started laughing. With Cowboy in there, he began to giggle and splash around. He even asked if he could shampoo her. Bubbles, I thought? I quickly grabbed a bottle of Johnson's baby shampoo and handed it to Wills. 30 minutes later, I took out one soggy dog and one hairy but happy kid. The bath problem forever solved. Cowboy was more than earning her keep. Wills had been petrified of crowds, restaurants, public restrooms, birthday parties, and playground time at school, but we were working on it. And whenever Cowboy was with him, everything was better. The only problem was, our Cowboy was getting sick. For such a young dog, she wasn't acting very peppy or wild. 6 months after we got her, she was diagnosed with canine lupus, which made her ineligible to be trained as his service dog. Having a service dog would have helped Wills immensely, especially at our school or inside public places, because a major new goal of his therapy was to not isolate him. He needed to be out in the world, and for that to happen, we needed Cowboy to be there with him. So we managed to sneak her into more than one pizza joint and various bookstores throughout the San Fernando Valley, which shall remain nameless. Also, Wills needed Cowboy at home, where he could sit on his bedroom floor, his face buried in her fur, confiding in her all his hopes and fears. And whenever they'd emerge from his room, Wills would say something like, "Cowboy's sad today," or "Cowboy got her feelings hurt." And for the first time ever, I knew exactly how Wills was feeling. He was finding a way to express himself. When he and I were driving home from therapy one afternoon, from the back seat, I heard him say something that none of us had ever heard Will say before. "I love you. I love you, Cowboy." His therapists, his smart and encouraging teachers, Cowboy and his wonderful friends were life-changing for this boy who had been such a loner, and we were deeply grateful for each and every one. And we had more than one doctor tell us that Wills might not be capable of reading or tying his shoes or improving, and we mourned that notion. And when we mourned it, we were told we had bigger problems to worry about. But Wills is not a problem to be solved. Children are not problems. He is our son and simply needs what every child needs, a loving, generous family, and they are out there, and people who don't believe in the word can't, to be challenged and supported and never, ever underestimated. But with all the angels in our lives, no entity was more of a practical influence on Wills than Cowboy. She took my son, who now had the tools to enter the world, and nudged him out there to experience it all. She insisted on going trick-or-treating when Wills was too scared, chased him into the ocean for the first time, dragged him by his pant leg through wet mud, which was really a big deal for this child who was always wanted to be neat and clean, and mostly, Cowboy taught Wills that loving something with all your heart is a very, very good thing. That connecting with another soul is all that really matters in this entire world. Sadly, Cowboy died 2.5 years to the day we got her, leaving us shocked and Wills flattened. Wills' friends and family gathered around him, for he would not be grieving alone. The day after Cowboy died, Wills turned to people for the first time in his entire life. He still loved his animals, but needed his friends even more. That, I understood, was Cowboy's parting gift to Wills. Well, Wills just turned 13, my boy a teenager, God help me. And God help him, I'm starting menopause. We're doing it together, the hormone shuffle. Oh, don't come over, don't come over. He's reading, He's reading so well. This week he's reading Lemony Snicket, The Slippery Slope, right, Wills? He played on his first Little League team last spring, hitting a grand slam in the third game. This child who could not connect a ball to a bat in January of last year. He's riding horses and has been asked to be a team trainer taking care of the little kids, 6 and under, with his friend Addie, who's also back there with him. And this past summer, my boy, who could not stand to go to a restaurant or the grocery store or use a public restroom, went to the All-Star game with his dad and sat among 50,000 screaming fans, and he was one of them. And I have Cowboy to thank for starting Wills on that path. So that's why our team is called Team Cowboy, in memory of our girl, and in great appreciation to all the angels, like Autism Speaks, who have helped us through the years. We could never have done it alone. I never want to do it alone again. Autism Speaks reaches out to those in need of connecting. The work they do is important, and its effect incalculable to families all over this country. And I want to thank Philip Hain, and Pam, and Sarah, and Matt, and everyone that spoke, and everyone that's part of this, and everyone I don't know and do know, for everything you do. Well, you'll see us on April 23rd. We'll be the team in red. Come up and say hello. If you don't have a team to walk with, please come online and walk with us. We would love to have you. We have snacks, and I guess we'll have cookies, and the dog will be there. What can I offer you? Not to be alone. I just want to say, don't walk alone if you don't want to. Come walk with us. We would love to have you. I also want to say we're doing a raffle in the back for free books, but I also want to say that Wills and I have been dedicated since the book came out to donating books to school libraries or any public library. If there's anybody here that has a library, or teachers and anyone on the staff of Autism Speaks, please come back for your free book. Thank you so much.